Welcome to the Go Nova Entertainment Show with Fernando and Megan. I'm Fernando Miko.
And I'm Megan Caulfield.
Let's go.
Joining us now from the movie Try, here's Ted Adams and Jay Jameson. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having
Great
us.
to have you again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try is a huge movie. It has gotten more attention and more publicity than any other film that's coming to the Nova Fest this year. We're expecting hundreds of people to come see it. How did it all get started?
Well, I started doing a treatment for the movie back in January of last year, so it was actually a very fast process. And a lot of it was based on my experiences as a triathlete and being part of team in training and part of a team called T3 Hanu, which is a real triathlon team that's actually featured in the movie. But basically, it was inspired by some of the stories that I've heard from teammates and how they got involved with triathlon, and how a lot of them are involved because they're doing it in honor of someone, or they're doing it to just fulfill their own dream of doing something that they've never done before. So basically, when you look at Try, it's really not so much a movie about triathlons. It's really about accomplishing something, transitioning into something that you've never done before, or becoming a better person, or just completing a goal, and taking on new challenges. The other thing that's kind of fun about the movie is that a lot of it's based on experiences with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, so dealing with cancer, and we work with Sibley Hospital, dealing with different types of cancer that they deal with and they support. So it's basically looking at triathlon and the people that are involved with it, but how they all interact with each other, then moving forward for their own betterment.
Was this the first film that you ever worked on, either of you?
This was my first film as a director, my first feature film as a writer and director. I'd worked on a bunch of shorts and music videos, and I'd worked behind the scenes on the crew of various films that had come through Virginia. But this is my first feature film that I've been at the helm of.
And for me, I mean, I'd been doing some like fun stuff since I was a kid, but I'd written a lot of stories and things of that nature. I work in different foundations, like the Stan Lee Foundation, to help other artists do work with literacy, writing, and education, and things of that nature. But for me, this is the first time I got involved in the film to this extent.
Well, because I asked that because it's a big production. I mean, we're talking like a lot of dollar sign productions. You told me a little bit about where you had to film and where you went. I mean, so I'd love to hear about the biggest scene from a production perspective. Because you had people jumping in the Potomac River during a triathlon. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Was that the biggest day, or was there another bigger day that was even?
I would say the biggest day was the Nations Triathlon. The film culminates, the climax of the film takes place, the various characters in the film all compete or are somehow involved in the Nations Triathlon, which is held in DC every year. And so that, essentially we had multiple characters, and we had a very limited time frame to insert them into this actual live race that has 4,000 competitors, 20,000 spectators, and takes place around the monuments on national park grounds and all that. So we were dealing with a lot of permits, a lot of logistics, in terms of like how are we going to get our actors from this segment of the swim into the transition area and then out on the bike and getting them running. And we had camera crews set up in all the different areas so that we would kind of pass the actors off to the different camera crews to make sure that we got all that we needed. Doing all of this while not interfering with people who were actually competing in the race. So that was something that was logistically just a bear of a task, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without our director of photography, Ginger Jarnigan, was fantastic in terms of the logistical planning and capturing the vision of what we needed to, the shots we needed to get from a storytelling standpoint, as well as the logistics of who could get those shots and how we could get those. So we had our own separate production staff for just that day of shooting that was operating in conjunction and parallel to the main production staff that was doing the rest of the film.
Wow, so that was a huge day.
Absolutely huge day.
A lot of extra crew. We had like Jay said, the key thing for me as a producer, and also I was also coaching the actors were not triathletes. You could go from having triathletes to act, or actors who could act like they were triathletes. So none of them had ever swam in open water before this movie. As far as being, I'm not talking about going to the beach. I'm talking about swimming in a race where you're doing freestyle and there's hundreds of people around you. So they had to get acclimated to how to do that. So they trained a great deal to get prepared for that. But most importantly, I want to make sure that they were safe at all times and that they would never do anything to interfere, like Jay said, with the other athletes who didn't, I mean, they all cared, but they just weren't concerned about us making a movie.
Sure.
So we really wanted to make sure, and that's why it was important that the actual triathlon team, T3 Hanu, that was supporting us, we could not have made the movie without them either, because what they did was, for example, in one of the scenes, one of the actors is swimming in the Luray Triathlon out in Luray, Virginia. And again, there's 500 people swimming in that race for each one of the races. So when she swam, my teammates basically surrounded her, dressed as regular triathletes, but they were surrounding her to keep her isolated from the rest of the race. But it's seamless when you actually see the film itself. But they really did protect her, and they took licks for her.
So your involvement in the triathlon kind of community in this area was a huge part of being able to make the film, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, it's not just T3 Honda. We had support from DC Triathlon, as a big triathlon team here in Washington, Team Z, Team Fexi, a lot of the local bike shops were involved. So we got a lot of local support. In fact, it's so funny at the Luray race, we had some folks from we had to wait till the last finisher completed their race before we could film the finish line scene there. And it was funny because one of the teams that was just happened to be on set, they were waiting for their last team member to come through. And they all stayed for that one person to come through. And she finished. Wow. So then we were able to step in and say, look, can you guys stick around for, we didn't say how long, but can you guys stick around while we do one more shot? And they stayed, and they supported us, and they, again, a lot of people there to help us make this film that just put up the time for us.
Well, it feels like this film is going to open a lot of people's eyes about what being involved in a triathlon is really all about. And it's not just necessarily about competing and getting the best time. It's like what you said, a transformation. Mm-hmm. So another question about the film, all the actors in the film, were they like separate stories that all came together at the end, or were they all connected and friends and had a relationship? Or are we going to be watching a story that's kind of a compilation of multiple different stories?
One of the things when I was brought on board, the script that we had, it was very much an ensemble piece, because you were looking at different aspects of the triathlon community, the cancer treatment and awareness community, and how those things are intertwined. And so we wanted to show all of these different stories. So one of the things that I really wanted to do when I did my draft of the script was intertwining those characters more so that we were able to see how the community really is connected, and how there's one character who says triathlon is an individual sport, but you're not doing it alone. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I took away from the research that I did into the triathlon community. Going to my first triathlon, I remember just seeing how many people were there supporting each other. Even though that person, you're running alone, but all of the training that went into it, yeah. All of the support from the volunteers that are there, people cheering you on, you're not really doing it alone. And that's really, I think, one of the messages of the film. And so that's how the characters are all intertwined, and they're all in each other's lives in ways that extend beyond the triathlon.
Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's screening at the Nova Fest this year, and the Nova Fest is its premiere in Virginia, is that true?
Virginia premiere.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so before you go, really quick question for you, because you're both from Northern Virginia. You're from Northern Virginia.
Yes, I'm from Richmond.
I'm gonna put you to the side for a second.
I'll sit this one out.
I'm gonna ask you a question to find out if you're a supernova. It's a little question about Northern Virginia. Let's see if you know the answer. Where is the Toilet Bowl building located?
The Toilet Bowl building is located, oh brother, I'll be 52 this year, so I feign to being old.
It's one of the oldest buildings in Tyson's Corner.
Are you talking about the laundry bag building?
Laundry bag building.
Yeah, I mean the shopping
The
bag building.
toilet bowl building.
No, shopping bag building.
All right, we're gonna take this one offline.
Okay.
Please let our viewers know how they can check out information about Try really quickly. Websites, social media.
Yeah, it's we have Facebook hashtag try movie, or on our website try4cure.com.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me here today. It's been an honor to have you. It's been great to talk about Try. Can't wait to see it in the theater.
Thanks. No.
Thanks for being here with us this week.
So glad to be here.
Joining us now, we have an extraordinarily special guest on stage that came from a really, really far way away, all the way across the pond from London. We have David Newton, who is here representing his film, The Wrath of God, which has multiple nominations in the Nova Fest, and we're really excited to see it this week when it screams. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure. I've been waiting to come over for a while since got nominations for the awards and things like that, so super excited.
So please tell us, what is Wrath of God? Is it a biblical piece? Is it set in ancient Israel or Jerusalem? What's?
It's a film about the handing down of a power when the earth has got into a position where nobody else can help. Basically, the God will hand down this power to a certain someone, and it's the handing down of this, and then we see what the last person had and what they did, so they can understand what power they're going to get. So it's a big action scene, and lots of visual effects and stunts and things like that.
I was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but like if you had to put it into one or two genres, what kind of movie or film is it?
It's
would
an
you say?
action fantasy,
Action fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay.
without a doubt. Yeah.
So describe action. What do you bring that's action?
We have fight scenes. We have a blind guy who takes on a horde of men who are pretty bad, and anybody that touches him basically gets disbanded. So they will fly through the air. We have lots of wire work and guys taking reactions and martial arts and things like that.
So what makes you think you have the experience to direct this kind of, or produce this kind of film? This action? Would you have any background in action films
Yeah,
at all?
luckily for me, I've had 9 years of working in stunts in major feature films.
Okay.
Things
Name
like
drop. Name drop.
Kick-Ass series, Kingsman series, Batman, Dark Knight Rises, these kind of movies. So I'm very fortunate to work in big, high mainstream movies, and I've learned on the job, and very fortunate to see every department as far as costume, makeup, stunts, camera work, seeing the directors at first hand. So it's like a free film school for me.
So you, this is the first film that you've actually directed yourself, though. Is that true?
It's my first full production film. I made a couple of films with just handy cams and student filmmakers, but as far as working with professionals that do this every day, this is my first full-on production. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. How much of you is in front of the camera? Are you just the choreographer, or how did? Because I've been in a position where I've directed and had to be in front of the camera, and
Yeah.
that's psychotic. So where were you? Are you purely behind? Were you in front? Were you going back and forth?
I was going backwards and forwards. Originally, I wanted to be just behind the camera, but unfortunately, I had somebody drop out, so I jumped in and filled the position in front of camera. And then with the stunt work, we had so much going on, we needed extra guys. So I'd throw on a costume and do some of the moves and fill in for spaces, or we'd come up with extra choreography. So I'd throw myself in just as an extra body, so in front and behind. But with as well as producing and then directing and being in front, it was just a huge undertaking for everybody. There was different hats for lots of many people just to make sure it got done.
So you've been working in the industry for 9 years. Like you just said, you've been able to see lots of different aspects of the industry. What do you envision for your future in terms of what you'd like to focus on? What's your favorite part of the business?
I like every part of the business, really. I just love the way that everyone comes together and will interact with each other, and somebody will come up with a great idea and you're like, I didn't think of that, so I'll steal that and put it in the next thing. And it goes down to all the departments from costume, makeup and things. So for me, I want to work as a stunt performer and go into stunt coordinating, and then second unit directing, and then full features. Whatever comes first, we'll see where the life takes me, I guess.
It's trending right now. With the last Oscars, there's a big push for, you know where I'm going with this, with
Yeah.
recognition with an award for stunt action choreography. Where are you on that? That's your wheelhouse.
I would love to see that happen. I think it's unfair that we don't get a mention or get an award for the work that people do. They put their lives at risk for the entertainment of everybody. The film industry counts on us to sell the products. So in all of the trailers, we'll have all the action, have all the stunts. So we're the ones that are making people go and see the movie, getting bums on seats, and I feel like we're overlooked a little bit, which is a shame. So hopefully over the next few years that'll change, and we'll get more recognition for the work that people do and lives that have been lost and people being injured.
Have you witnessed that yourself at all? Any tragedies on set, or just probably like bruises
Yeah,
and
no major
broken
tragedies.
bones?
I've seen people being seriously injured on film sets and then kind of taken off, and I've been injured pretty badly myself and taken off in spinal boards and things like that. And but luckily come back and touch wood, nothing else majorly goes wrong, but it's just the nature of the business. So it'd be nice to get some recognition for what we do for filmmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Okay.
Well, Wrath of God is screening with us this week.
It is.
We're really looking forward to seeing it. And we're so honored that you came all the way from London to be with us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And if you wouldn't mind letting our viewers know where they could find more information about yourself, your production company, or Wrath of God in general,
Yeah.
you can go ahead and let them know.
Yeah, I've got a couple of websites. One's davidnewtonstunts.co.uk for the stunt work that I do. For film work, it's David Newton Films. That'll have all my other projects that have been on there, other projects that are coming forward. And then we have Sugar Glass Productions, which is a friend of mine who co-produced Wrath of God, and Charlie Ramsey as well, who's the writer, producer. You can find him through those streams as well.
davidnewtonstunts.co.uk.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for
pleasure.
being with us.
Thank you.
Joining us now on the Go Nova show is someone that's incredibly special because he was the first human being on the planet to win the Nova Award in season 1 of the Nova Film Festival. So please welcome Matthew Sconce to the stage.
Thank you very
Matt?
much. It's going good.
We're
Happy be
honored to
here.
have you here today, all the way from California.
All the way from Cali, yep.
Awesome. And you have an incredible movie that is premiering, world premiere at the Nova Fest this year, right?
I do.
What's the name of that movie?
That name, Fernando, is Alter. Not Altar, and definitely not Avatar, as some people call it. It is Alter. Yeah,
I like Avatar.
me too. I wish I had made Avatar, but I didn't. I made Alter.
More
With
money.
an AR.
More money in the Avatar. I
Yeah,
said.
probably.
Okay.
So Alter is a horror flick,
It is.
correct?
It's a found
Found
footage.
footage.
Found footage horror film, kind of in the vein of Willow Creek and Blair Witch, but with some really great cinematography. So it looks really pretty as it scares you.
Were you the one holding the camera for this?
I was.
Okay.
I'm the man behind the curtain. So when you watch it, you'll never see me, but I was there the entire time as the camera operator, even though it seems like our camera operator is one of the characters.
Were you ever scared? It is a horror movie.
We were scared. We had a mountain lion stalking us while filming.
Oh, cool.
A coyote pack run through our campsite, a bear that was pacing us, and we got caught in a freak thunderstorm the first day and realized our tents leaked. So it was awesome time.
So you shot in the city, like New York City. Yeah. Right? Where did you shoot? What's the location?
We shot up by Yosemite National Park in a place called Bayshore Meadows. And so it's about 7,000 feet up there. So it gets really cold at night. And evidently animals were very excited that there were humans there. And
food.
I guess maybe. One fun story is one morning we woke up and we heard the seams popping on the side of our tent. And we had a little small dog that's in the movie named Sushi. She plays a dog named Pickles in the movie. And the seams were popping and we ran out and there was a bobcat that was cutting its way into our tent to try to eat sushi.
Wow.
So lots of fun stories of the filming of Alter.
Okay. But you, okay, sorry.
Well, no, because we've talked about filming it before too, and there's a lot of fun stories, but that were jam-packed into a short period of time because you filmed this movie pretty quickly, right?
We did. Our original shoot schedule was 7 days. We were going to try to shoot the entire feature film in 7 days. And we ended up wrapping the first part of the film in 3 days because we were trying to race a thunderstorm that was coming into the mountains. And we went back and shot for a day in the winter for a prologue, and then we had one pickup shot. So we ended up filming for about 6 days for the entire feature, which is definitely the fastest that I've ever filmed a feature. Usually it's about 30 days for a feature film schedule for me.
That's really incredible. Can you think of any feature-length films that were shot in less than a week?
I've seen a few that look like they were shot.
Well, hopefully mine doesn't look like that.
I'm sure.
Well,
it
I've
won't.
seen it, so it does not.
So thank
I
you.
can give away spoilers right now.
No
too, if
spoilers,
that's-
no.
No, I haven't seen it yet, Fernando. You can't do that.
But it's the world premiere, so
It's the
Yeah.
world premiere
best
on
spoiler
Wednesday.
time is
No.
no one's ever seen it.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be so mad. No, I'm looking forward to seeing it on Wednesday. And the other part that I thought that was really interesting that you told me about was how you trained your actors. There's not actually a script, correct?
There was a really in-depth outline with a lot of script elements of things they needed to hit, lines they needed to say, but a lot of it was method actors, masters in improv that we cast from 1,000 submissions. We cast 6 main leads and then some supporting characters. And they were some of the best actors I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, please be in my movie. And they were. And so one of the things we did is they were supposed to be out of college for 7 days. And so we had them all drive up from LA together and they built their backstory. How did they know each other? What events did they have? What memories did they share when they used to be in college together? What relationships were they in? All these different things. So when they arrived, they had a very deep relationship pool to pull from and different memory pools to pull from. So they felt very natural. And so that led to some amazing interactions. And they still call each other by their cast names today. And they were in character while they were eating, they were in character while they were sleeping. They were method for the whole time. And we were terrified that we were going to be eaten by wild animals. So the fear factor was definitely there.
It wasn't as difficult for them
Yeah.
to.
Now, you've done a few feature films. How many feature films have you?
I produced 7,
Seven.
and then I've directed 3. This is my 3rd that I have written and directed.
Okay, is this a departure in any way from the other ones? Are they all kind of horror thrillers, or are they?
They're across the gamut. There's faith and family, there's adventure, there's horror, there was some action, drama. I just like a good story. So if I'm going to produce something, I want it to inspire me because you're married to the project for a long time.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that it's something that I'm passionate about and still will be passionate about a year to 2 years from the start, from the inception of it. So, but yeah, I just love a good story.
What's your plan for it?
For Alter?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to ever find a creepy altar in the woods. I learned that from making Alter. But also, my plan is to get it out there as widely as possible. I feel like the actors deserve that. I feel like they just rocked it, and I feel like it's going to start a lot of their careers to jumpstart. I know they've done a lot of things, but I feel like this is going to get them a lot on the radar in a way. I would love it to get out there into theaters. I think for that, it would need to have, kind of like The Gallows did, it would need to have a studio back it, like The Gallows did with New Line, and get it out there. I feel like people will like it. So that's my goal, is to get it in front of the right people's eyes so they can see it, like it, and join me in getting it out there.
Wow. Because you touched on the business side, and that's just a whole other universe. A lot of filmmakers think, oh, I have this great idea for a movie, and they maybe know how to use the camera or the equipment and all the production cycle, but then when the film's in the can, they think game over, but that's only like phase 1.
Right.
So-
Yeah, they think they're done making a movie, and you're like, oh, no. Now's not the time to be done. Now you're going to launch into post, and you're going to have to make sure you have your deliverables for distribution. Where is it going to go? Who has the connections to get it to where you need it to be? How are you going to handle marketing?
Because you're on point with, when you mentioned marketing, just key art, how important it is just to have
Key
a
art is
poster.
huge. For instance, we had emails out about press releases for Alter up with a poster that I had made and spent hours working on. And people would go, man, the trailer is amazing. The poster's okay. And I'm like, no, because I had tried so hard. And finally I realized, wait, I don't need to make the poster. There are geniuses out there that make posters for Redbox and studios and all that. So we contacted a guy named Chris at The Robot Eye. And I highly recommend anybody remembers that if you just search for The Robot Eye. He is a genius poster creator. And so he made the posters for Alter that we have now. And as soon as we sent those out, we immediately started having responses from people because key art is so important, because they look at the key art and it's first impression. And then they watch your trailer, then they read your log line and they're like, wow, I'm very interested in this. But if one of those things doesn't work, they don't move on because they have thousands of things to look at.
Yeah, I mean, we can't stress key art enough. I mean, I come from a graphic art background as well, and I've been to a few American film markets where I've seen movies sold just on the one sheet where it has the poster, the key art, and they'll look to see if it has a name, if there's an explosion, so on and so forth, a little blood, and they won't see one frame of footage, and they'll buy it because they know their buyer in Berlin is going to pick this movie up.
Well, I know I've done that before when you're walking through when Blockbuster used to exist, right?
Yeah.
You'd walk through and Redbox does it now and you see a picture that catches your eye and that's the first thing. It hooks you and you're like, ooh, I'm interested. And that's the first step in. So if that's not strong, it can't sell.
Right.
Well, we are honored that you are gracing us with the world premiere of Alter at the Nova Fest for season 2. It's going to be phenomenal, and we can't wait to see it. I might need to hold you guys' hand.
You can hide.
During the, close my eyes a little bit. I'm really scared at scary movies, but thank you, Matt. You are a true supernova.
Well, thank you
We're
very
honored
much.
to have you here. And
Yeah.
for
Any,
joining
any
us.
other plugs you want to put out there?
If people want to know more about it, they
Yes.
can join the thousands of people that are joining us on Facebook. They can just go to altarthemovie.com, and that's ALTAR, themovie.com. It'll shoot them straight to Facebook, and they can stay up to date with what's going on.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you so much, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Until we see you next time on the Go Nova Entertainment Show, I'm Megan Caulfield.
I'm Fernando Mico.
Adios, au revoir, ciao, and Go Nova!